Hey there everyone, and welcome to Battletoads for the Game Boy. Now, of course, the question right out of the gate, why the Game Boy version? I actually like the Game Boy version of Battletoads better. It's a lot different. It's situated differently for the Game Boy, but I think it's done a little better on the Game Boy actually than on the NES. For one thing, oddly enough, on the Game Boy, everything is kind of in better proportion. Like, the bosses on the Game Boy are actually bigger than you. You actually feel small compared to them, whereas in the original on the NES, boss sprites were the same size as you generally, so it was kind of weird. It didn't really feel all that threatening. And for another, this game is easier. It's still hard. It's still pretty difficult, but it's what am I trying to say? It's a very rewarding game actually, because it's very difficult and you feel good about yourself for beating it because it wasn't just handed to you. Once you beat this game, you feel very good. So that's why I'm doing this game, because I have beaten it before, and it took a while to do it. Lots of practice and lots of trial and error, because there are no warp zones in this game that I'm aware of. There's a few continues, like 3 or so. There are no extra lives that I'm aware of. They could have called this game essentially Battle Cats, because you get 9 lives, and that's basically it. But yeah, so this is a pretty tough game. We're going to go through about 2 levels a day, I think, is what I'm going to shoot for. There are 9 levels in all, so we're going to be, well, 8 or 9. If you lump in the last boss fight with the last level, then there's 8 levels. So we'll do 2 levels a day, 8 levels, 4 episodes. This is going to be a really fun game, I think. You're going to see the differences between this version and the NES version. This version attempts to emulate the NES version for the most part. Most of the levels are kind of a lighter version of what was on the NES, but I think they're better made actually, and I think you're really going to see that. This is a very good port. Rare kind of does this sometimes, or they kind of did this sometimes back in the day, where their Game Boy ports would actually be a little more well thought out than their NES originals. I'm thinking also of Sneaky Snakes, which is the Game Boy version of Snake Rattle and Roll, except it's a 2D platformer, and I mean, it's a little less challenging like Game Boy Battletoads, but it's in a way slightly more fun to play, I think. So we're going to have a lot of fun with this series. We're going to rip through 2 levels a day, and we're going to have tons of fun. So I'll see you guys in Ragnarok Canyon tomorrow.